Hi guys, welcome to your academy. So let's start with the OSPF configuration part 2. So in the part 1, we configured the area 0, area 6, area 7 and area 5, right? Now let's focus on the DR BDR election. Basically, please refer my OSPF deep dive video, right, for DR BDR election process and why we would require the DR BDR. Basically, to avoid a routing loop, we would require the DR and a BDR. So now, how DR and BDR selected? DR and BDR will get selected based on the OSPF interface parity. By default, interface parity is a 1. In case if all the interface parity is set to 1, then your router highest router ID become a designated router, and the next highest IP address become the backup designated router. So two things by default priority is a 1. Priority is a 8 bit. 8 bit is a parity value. We start from 0 to 255. 1 is a default priority. So let's do one thing now. Consider all the routers having the same priority, which is priority 1. Okay, let's go and check the priority of each router participate in the broadcast network. So currently in our diagram, we have a ABR2, A5R1 and A5R2. These three routers are currently participate in the broadcast network. So let's first check the priority of ABR2. What is the priority? How to check? The interface connected to the broadcast network is gigabyte 0/0. Show IP OSPF interface gigabyte 0/0. You will see the priority. Priority is a 1. You will see the priority. Priority is a 1. Then go on A5R2 CLI. Look for the priority. Show IP OSPF interface gigabyte 0/0. Here you go. Your priority is a 1. Or if you run show OSPF neighbor command, you will see the priority. See priority 1. 1.1.1.2 is my ABR2 router. This router having a priority 1 and 5.5.5.1 having a priority is 1. Let's go and check the priority on A5R1. So I don't think we would require this. Why? Because it is already showing over here, right? Because it is already showing over here, right? The priority of 5.5.5.1, which is this router A5R1. So its priority is already showing 1. Clear? So let's go and change the priority. Okay, so before configure the priority, let's check who is our DR and who is our BDR. So let's log into the ABR02. On the ABR0 router 2, show IP OSPF neighbor. You can see 5.5.5.2 is a DR, which is this router means A5R2, and 5.5.5.1, which is your A5R1 router. So means this is my DR, this is my BDR, and I am the DR other, right? Means ABR is the DR other. So why this A5R2 selected as a DR? Because all the interface parity of routers set to 1. Now it's tie. So next selection process is higher router ID. If you compare the router ID 5.5.5.1 with 5.5.5.2, of course this 5.5.2 is the higher than the 5.5.5.1. That is the reason now 5.5.5.2 is now become a DR. But we want ABR2 as our DR. So let's go and change the priority of interface gigabyte 0/0. How to change the priority? Configuration terminal, then interface gigabyte 0/0, IP OSPF priority 10. Highest priority wins the election, 10. So but be make sure, right, as soon as you configure highest priority as a 10, right, so still 5.5.5.2 is our DR. You have to clear the IPOSPF process or you have to reboot the router. How do I check now who is our DR and who is our BDR? Either through this command, right, IP OSPF neighbor. So you can see 5.5.5.2 still is my DR and 5.5.1 is still my BDR. Can you go and check the whether OSPF has changed the interface priority? Okay, show IP OSPF interface gigabyte 0/0, and you can see the priority now is changed to the priority 10, but still you can see your router ID is 1.1.1.2 and the DR IP address is a 5.5.5.2. No, you have to reboot your all the routers or clear IP OSPF process. Once you clear the IP OSPF process, so what will happen? This ABR router 2 now will become a designated router. So let's do one thing. Clear IP OSPF process, enter. Yes, I want to reset the process or clear the process. As soon as I clear the process, and then go and check for the DR BDR. Who is our DR and who is our BDR? Same command, show IP OSPF neighbor. Perfectly fine. So 5.5.5.1 is now BDR and 5.5.2 is now DR. So it means I am the DR other. Sorry, 5.5.5.2 is a DR other. So hence, or I can say it means I am the DR. Show IP OSPF interface gigabyte 0/0. Here you go, guys. Process ID 10, router ID 1.1.1.2. My local router ID is 1.1.2 and the DR IP address also 1.1.1.2, means I am the DR. Why? Because I have my priority is a 10.10. Sorry, my priority is a 10. Go back to the diagram. So if you look at, based on the priority, ABR is the 2, but based on the router ID, this 5.5.5.2 should be the BDR, na? Because now current BDR priority is 1 and current DR other priority is a 1, so it's tie. So highest IP address now become the highest router ID, now become a BDR, but still 5.5.1 I can see as a BDR. Where is the problem? So do one thing, go there and clear the IP OSPF process. Okay, so go on the router to area 5 R1, clear IP OSPF process. Yes, on router 2, clear IP OSPF process. Yes, and go on now ABR and look for the neighborship. No, still it is showing DR 5.5.2. It should now show it as a BDR, but it is showing DR. So do one thing, show IP OSPF interface gigabyte 0/0. So 5.1.1.2 perfect, and BDR is a 5.5.1. No, 5.5.5.2 should be your DR. Okay, clear IP OSPF process. Yes, go to the R1 or I can say go to the R2. Here clear IP OSPF process. Yes, show IP OSPF neighbor. Perfect. Now look at here, R2 area 5. For me 1.1.1.2 is a DR. Why? Because it has a priority 10, and now 5.5.1 is the DR other. It means my role is BDR. Show IP OSPF interface, by the way, guys. IP OSPF interface gigabyte 0/0. Here you go. Now the BDR IP address is 5.5.5.2 and your local address is a 5.5.5.2 as well. So this is how you can change the priority and you can select your own DR and a BDR. If you have not changed the priority, basically highest router ID become the DR IP address and next highest IP address become the BDR IP address. Okay, thank you so much. Bye bye.